What Jim Rohn taught me after I went bankrupt. Here's a hard truth. Most people only change after they've hit bottom, financially, emotionally, or mentally. Bankruptcy isn't just a number in a bank account. It's the consequence of delayed decisions, ignored discipline, and wasted potential. Either you run the day or the day runs you. Jim Rohn believed success isn't something you chase. It's something you attract by becoming a better version of yourself. So here's the question. In his own spirit, are you becoming the kind of person success is looking for? This isn't about motivation. It's about transformation. Because when everything falls apart, what's left reveals your core. For most, that's the end. For a few, it's the beginning. The moment when Rohn's ideas stop sounding like nice quotes and start becoming non-negotiable principles. This video dives headfirst into that turning point. A raw, unfiltered look at what happens when life strips away the excuses, and all that's left are the teachings of a mentor like Jim Rohn. No fluff, no magic formulas, just timeless truths tested in the fire of personal failure. If you've ever felt stuck, lost, or faced your own version of going broke, this is your mirror, and maybe your roadmap. The difference between repeating old cycles or rewriting your story starts with how you respond to the fall. Because, as Jim Rohn said, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. What do you do when everything's gone, except the words of someone who once showed you a better way? That's when everything truly begins. Bankruptcy isn't just a financial event, it's a psychological rupture. It forces you to confront the real cost of years lived without structure, vision, or personal accountability. For some, it becomes the beginning of a downward spiral. For others, it becomes the catalyst for permanent transformation. The difference lies in the mindset you choose afterward and the ideas you allow to guide you. According to the American Psychological Association, 72% of adults report feeling stressed about money at some point in their lives. But the real danger isn't the money itself. It's what that stress does to your decision-making, your relationships, your self-worth. It paralyzes, it isolates. And unless you rebuild from the inside out, no external fix will ever last. That's why Jim Rohn's philosophy matters, not just as self-help, but as a framework for rebuilding character, habits, and identity after collapse. He taught that success is never accidental. It's earned through consistent, intentional effort, and it starts long before the results show up. This video is not about theory. It's about how one person applied Rohn's timeless principles at the lowest point of his life, and the very real shifts that followed. Discipline, mindset, daily habits, environment, all of it put to the test when nothing else remained. By the end of this video, you'll see how failure can become fuel, and how Jim Rohn's words can do more than inspire. They can rebuild. Every external failure begins as an internal pattern tolerated for too long. You cannot change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction. Jim Rohn. The most dangerous mindset isn't despair, it's passive optimism. The quiet belief that someday I'll get around to it. That vague future where everything magically aligns. Motivation, discipline, clarity. Until then, people drift. They delay. They survive on intentions while their potential collects dust. This negative pattern is subtle, but lethal. It shows up in the routine moments, the ones that seem too small to matter. You hit snooze instead of getting up with purpose. Skip the book you said you'd read. Delay the difficult conversation. Justify one more unnecessary expense. Let one day of inaction slide, then another. And over time, this pattern compounds, not into growth, but into stagnation. As the days pile up, so does the quiet erosion of standards. That vision you had for yourself, it starts to fade, replaced by excuses. The energy drains, confidence drops, and slowly you begin to settle. Not because you don't want more, but because you've rehearsed mediocrity for too long. Jim Rohn warned us, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. But what if that bridge is never built? What if you keep wandering, hoping that ambition alone will carry you? The result is predictable, chronic frustration, the sense that time is slipping away and nothing is really changing. Because without intentional habits, direction, and self-discipline, your days are just motion without progress. Worse, this mindset breeds false security. You think you still have time, that things will change when life gets easier, or when you feel more inspired. But change doesn't show up on its own. It must be built, and it begins in the invisible. The daily choices, the thoughts you tolerate, the standards you enforce or ignore. The real collapse isn't financial, it's mental, and most people don't realize it until they're staring at the wreckage. Bankrupt not just in dollars, but in identity. That's where Jim Rohn's message becomes more than motivation. It becomes rescue. His philosophy isn't for the casually interested. It's for those ready to break the cycle. This first block is about naming the root issue, because until you confront the mental patterns driving your current life, no strategy will stick. This video will help you spot that silent saboteur and begin dismantling the mindset that's quietly keeping you broke, stuck, and waiting. The reason most people stay stuck isn't laziness. It's conditioning. You wake up, check your phone, scroll through meaningless content, and stay poor. Not just financially, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Because before anyone ends up broke, they've lived broke in their mindset for years. This isn't just a personal flaw, it's cultural. From a young age, we're trained to seek comfort, not challenge. We're taught to conform, not think independently. The education system rewards memorization, not vision. The workplace rewards obedience, not initiative. And social media, it rewards comparison over creation. You grow up learning that effort is enough, that showing up is the same as delivering, that if you just keep going, things will work out. But life doesn't respond to intentions, it responds to execution. That's where most people lose. Picture this. You wake up late, already behind. First instinct, dopamine hit. Instagram, emails, messages. You tell yourself, just 5 minutes. It becomes 30. You shower, half distracted, already mentally exhausted. You go to work, do the minimum, count the hours. Get home, binge a show, eat whatever's easy, and sleep late. The cycle repeats, and then you wonder why your dreams feel farther every year. Here's the truth. Your results are not a mystery. They're a mirror. The invisible root of failure is a life designed for escape, not progress. We escape discomfort. We escape responsibility. We escape boredom with entertainment. But growth hides exactly where we avoid looking. Fear is part of it. Fear of failure, judgment, disappointment. But deeper than fear is habit. Automated behavior hardwired by years of low standards and soft choices. The same way you build muscle through reps, you build mediocrity through repetition. Take the story of Michael, a former executive who lost everything in a market crash. His fall wasn't sudden. It was silent. Years of coasting, assuming income was permanent, avoiding uncomfortable financial decisions, delegating his life instead of owning it. When the bottom dropped, he realized the real bankruptcy happened long before the numbers turned red. It happened the moment he stopped evolving. As Jim Rohn said, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Failure is simply a few errors in judgment, repeated every day. This is the invisible trap. No alarms, no warnings. Just small compromises that snowball into collapse. The error isn't always obvious, but it's always present. And it lives in the moment you stop being intentional. Your life today is perfectly designed to give you the results you're getting. If that bothers you, don't change the goal. Change the system. Because until you upgrade the root, your beliefs, your environment, your daily rhythm, you're just planting success seeds in poisoned soil, and nothing grows in that. If it's going to change, it's up to me. No one is coming. That's the shift. That's the line that separates those who rise from those who repeat. Most people live reactively. They wait for motivation, wait for the right time, wait for someone to discover them, fix them, or push them. But high performers, the ones who break cycles and rewrite their stories, they flip that script. They move from external dependency to internal command. Jim Rohn taught that we don't get paid for our time. We get paid for the value we bring to the marketplace. And value comes from who you become, not from what you wish for. When that clicks, everything changes. Here's how winners think. They don't ask, what can I get? They ask, who do I need to become? This mindset forces new behaviors. You stop waiting and start preparing. You stop chasing shortcuts and start building capacity. You stop blaming the economy, your parents, your past. And you start studying, working, improving. Not because it's easy, but because the responsibility is yours. Imagine two people facing the same crisis. Both lose their job. Both have bills. Both are overwhelmed. One spiral and waiting for a break. The other sharpens, learning, adapting, taking action. Same problem, different outcome, because the second person owns their growth. This shift isn't abstract. It changes your posture, your pace, your priorities. You start reading instead of scrolling, planning instead of reacting. You value your time differently. You filter your inputs, who you listen to, what you consume, how you speak to yourself. And as you shift mentally, results begin to follow. Not instantly, but inevitably. Jim Rohn would often say, "Don't join an easy crowd, you won't grow. Go where the expectations are high, and the pressure to perform produces your best." That's not just philosophy, it's a challenge. The moment you stop avoiding pressure and start embracing it as a forge, you begin to level up. It's not about hustle for hustle's sake. It's about becoming a person with structure, clarity, and conviction. This is the mental turning point. From victim to creator, from distraction to direction, from reaction to responsibility. You become dangerous, not because of what you have, but because of what you've trained yourself to withstand and deliver. An airplane takes off against the wind, not with it. Likewise, your breakthrough isn't waiting for perfect conditions. It's waiting for you to rise in resistance, commit under pressure, and fly anyway. That's what this shift makes possible. And once you think like this, you can never go back. You've made the mental shift. Now comes the test. Execution. Thinking like a winner means nothing without aligned action. Discipline is the proof. Structure is the system. And momentum is built one decision at a time. Say no. Walk away, invest it. This is how the new mindset comes to life. Not in theory, but in your day, your wallet, your choices. 1. In your routine. Start the day on offense. Before the world distracts you, own your time. Wake up early, no snooze. Read 10 pages of a book that grows your thinking. Write down 3 non-negotiables for the day, tasks that move your life forward. Then, do the hardest thing first. Cut the noise, silence the notifications. Build a system that doesn't depend on willpower, but on rhythm. Winners don't rely on feeling like it. They rely on structure. Discipline weighs ounces. Regret weighs tons. Jim Rohn 2. In your finances, every dollar is a decision, and every decision is a vote for the life you're building. Stop impulse spending. Ask, does this align with who I'm becoming? Build an emergency fund. Peace of mind is power. Invest in assets, not distractions. Books, courses, mentors, health. Don't buy to feel better, build to live better. Cut the things that entertain but don't educate. Redirect money toward what multiplies. Cancel the subscription. Buy the book. Save the difference. 3. In your decisions, you're no longer operating on convenience. Now, it's alignment. Say no to people who waste your energy. Walk away from environments that normalize mediocrity. Speak up when your old self would stay quiet. Protect your time like it's capital, because it is. Every decision is an investment in your identity. Choose like it matters, because it does. This isn't about doing everything at once. It's about building new defaults. Small wins repeated daily will outpace big goals delayed indefinitely. Consistency is your competitive edge. Clarity is your compass. Discipline is your engine. This is how freedom starts, not with luck, not with inspiration, but with intentional, repeated action. You don't need more motivation. You need a better system, one that reflects the new standard you've committed to. And as Jim Rohn said, success is neither magical nor mysterious. Success is the natural consequence of consistently applying the fundamentals. So apply them. Start today. Move now. Build the life your future self will thank you for. Because freedom doesn't respond to wishes, it responds to work. Let's pause. Not to consume more, but to confront more. Because without reflection, there is no real change. So take a breath, grab a pen, and face the questions most avoid. Ask yourself, and answer honestly. What daily habit in your life right now is quietly keeping you small? You already know what it is. Write it down. Where are you blaming circumstances when in truth, you've stopped showing up fully? No filter, no excuses, just facts. If someone followed your routine for 30 days, would they become stronger, wealthier, wiser, or more distracted and passive? What version of you must die so the next level of you can live? A mindset, a relationship, a behavior. What must go? What would your life look like if you kept repeating your current choices for the next 5 years? Sit with that one, then write a different ending. Now, here's your exercise. Take 5 uninterrupted minutes, 1 page. Answer this: if nothing changes in my life, what will it cost me? Don't write to impress. Write to reveal. Be brutal. Be real. Be done with illusions. Because clarity doesn't come from comfort. It comes from collision. With truth, with responsibility, with the future you're either creating or destroying. Only you can answer that. But you must. No one's coming. No one's doing it for you. And the longer you delay this work, the deeper the hole gets. The good news? You can start digging out today, but not before you face what got you here. And as Rohn said, you cannot make progress without making decisions. Every transformation begins with a decision. Not a grand gesture, but a quiet, firm commitment to raise your standards and never lower them again. Rohn's wisdom doesn't promise ease. It promises growth. And it reminds us that the life we want isn't locked behind luck or talent. It's built through discipline, clarity, and responsibility. You don't need to fix everything today. You just need to stop living like tomorrow will do it for you. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Rohn. So here's your step forward. Reflect, decide, act, repeat, and remember, the distance between where you are and where you want to be, it's smaller than you think. Once you get serious, what thought are you letting control your future? Leave it in the comments, not to impress, but to confront it. You never know who's reading and who needs to hear that they're not alone in this work. Thanks for being here. Be deliberate, stay uncomfortable, grow anyway.